The World Junior Championship is canceled, and reviewing Jeff Blashill halfway through his first season with his new extension.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. I'm your host, Brian Fisher. With me today, as always, is Scotty Bentley, the other host here at Locked On Red Wings, also host at Locked On Tigers. And Scotty, we got stuff to talk about today, but in the worst possible way.
Yeah, that's been a reoccurring theme.
It seems like it, right?
Seems like that's most shows the last couple of days.
So, World Junior Championships, if you haven't already heard, I don't know how you haven't if you're a hockey fan, has been canceled. News came out on Wednesday that Czechia, Czech Republic. I still never learned how to pronounce it after they changed their name. Had a COVID positive case, and things progressed from there. Even though Team USA was actually on track to play Team Sweden today. You know, Bob McKenzie was tweeting out that it was a positive outlook, and that they could get an exception on the goaltender so that he could play, because one of the players who tested positive was a goaltender, or no, correction, one of the players' roommates, because one player who tested positive was a goaltender, his roommate was also a goaltender, but they needed to get an exemption for him to be able to play because there wasn't enough time for his test to come back before the game. But we're going to get an exemption for him. Team USA was going to play, and then the Czech Republic had a positive case, and all hell broke loose. IIHF just decided
to say the least,
shut her down.
Yep. Complete. I mean, like, we knew USA was hosed. I don't think we really quite expected when we were recording yesterday for everybody to get the boot. I think we just kind of expected USA, but here we are. The NHL is continuing to push certain teams further and further back, and now the hockey that we have been able to watch the last couple of days is now gone too. So no World Juniors and still no Red Wings hockey at the moment.
Yeah, and I think it was the Beaverton who posted a satirical article almost immediately, and it said COVID-19 wins World Junior Championship, because it just did. And it's not. And the Finnish coach, Finland's coach, let me grab his name real quick, and I'm going to pronounce it best I can because I can barely pronounce, Scotty's name, much less a Finnish name. If I can find it, Antti Pennanen, he says, "I'm angry because this wasn't a COVID problem. This was a problem of a poorly managed tournament." And that seems to be the underlying theme that has come out since the cancellation. And obviously the coaches are upset. The players are upset because for many of these players, I mean, they had the U18 tournament canceled. Now they had the U20 tournament canceled this year. I mean, this is the peak for many of these players, and they're upset because now the best time of their life in their playing career for the majority of these players, they can't participate in, and now they're going to be aged out because let's be honest, most of these players don't make it to the NHL. Most of them don't even make it to the AHL. So the pinnacle of what would be their career is now taken away from them, not because of COVID-19, and COVID-19 is an issue, but because there wasn't an IIHF did not put enough protocols in place to protect the players in a proper environment.
Yeah, no, they deserve a ton of heat. It's I would say that you can't say anything is all their fault because I mean this virus is
no, absolutely
unpredictable and everything. But I would say a majority is probably their fault. They deserve a ton of heat. Their protocols and whatnot were pretty lackluster, and everybody knew they were. And it came to a pinnacle yesterday. So no more juniors, no more World Juniors. I don't know. I mean, at least Sebastian Kosa can't get healthy anymore. Whoa.
Yay. He finished the tournament with a 0.000
He did
goals
not
against
allow a
average.
goal. He did not allow a single goal in the World Juniors.
Yeah. And Alan Walsh, a very controversial
That's the word.
agent,
Attaboy.
that's the word, is not the right word I'm trying to use. So I try to pronounce it 3 times just to say that's not the word I'm trying to use. But he is polarizing. That's the word. He's a polarizing agent in the NHL because he's very vocal. I believe he's the one who posted the picture of Fleury with a sword in his back.
Yes, that would be him. Yeah.
He tweeted, one of the key issues, the World Junior bubble was full of holes. The players' hotels are filled with guests, full lobbies, corridors, and common areas. Players have been social distancing, wearing masks, and barely leaving rooms, but the hotels are full of people everywhere. And I know bubbles are incredibly hard to maintain, and they are very expensive. But if you're trying to hold a tournament where there is an extremely infectious disease going around, despite the severity the player is having, if you're running a protocol where if a player catches it, you have to shut it down and it's extremely transmissible, then why would you not do everything in your power? Like, why would you not take a rent? And I'm just talking hypotheticals. I don't know the costs of these things, but why aren't all these players and teams in one hotel? And then to keep random guests and stuff out, so like you isolate the tournament in that one hotel. You know what I'm saying? And because he actually does bring up a solid point in that what's the point of shutting down an entire tournament if you're not going to put the safety protocols in place to help protect the players from other people outside of their power?
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's a lot of hypocrisy across this sport at the moment, and
Across
that
not
is
even just the sport, every sport, it seems like.
right across, honestly, just the world in the current moment. But yeah, no, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff like that, and like you said, we're seeing it across a lot of different sports. The like no capacity restrictions, but then like 12 of 15 NBA players are all out. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's a very similar thing that's going on currently in hockey. And it's one thing for them to be on the ice and behind the glass, and hockey's a little bit more of like a enclosed playing area than any other sport. But to have no changes or no different policies or no isolated area for the hotel that everyone's staying at seems wildly irresponsible.
Well, yeah, and to build off of that, Corey Pronman, who's a writer for The Athletic, tweeted out that the hotel that Team USA and Team Sweden were staying at, there was a wedding that happened there. Said one staff member on a European team in same hotel as USA and Red Deer calls the current COVID protocols and lack of isolation from their community ridiculous, saying they've come in contact with said wedding guests, referring again to the wedding reception that happened there. So meanwhile, you're trying to run a tournament and keep everyone healthy. You have just random people occupying the same hotel. And you can't tell me that it's not possible to isolate these players completely because you did it last year. The NHL completely did it. It is possible. And so if you're going to have protocols in place where if a player catches COVID, it causes the entire team to be forfeited, why would you not do everything in your power to prevent players from catching them at all? Like, it's this weird
You would think.
You would think it's common sense, but I guess it comes down to were they trying to pinch pennies? They didn't want to have the cost of having to do that, and they were just praying for the best, where clearly the best didn't happen.
I wish I could answer because it's stupid. It is stupid.
Yeah.
And it deserves to be called stupid. But I clearly whatever they were trying to do did not work because now we're out of a tournament.
Yeah.
In a period of time where there was no hockey being played, and you had the ability to fill that void with hockey, and you still left it up. So
yeah,
congratulations.
Absolutely. We'll continue this conversation. We'll continue, I guess, mostly venting our frustration at the situation. on the other side of this. But first, I got to talk to you guys about Primal Origin Oils. Got beard? Get Primal. You heard me right. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get Primal. Maybe you're that guy who has never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product. Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with low impact on our planet. Primal Origin Oils makes balms, oils, and whip butter that are renowned as the best feel in beard products available. All products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the United States. The combo kits make a great holiday gift. And if you're shopping for yourself, you'll be glad you did. So one thing, Scotty, that I really enjoy about the beard oils that I don't think I've brought up yet, obviously it makes my beard feel, moist and soft, that it's not like dry and scratchy anymore, which I didn't even realize was a problem until I started trying it. It's also that all those ingredients that they add, those natural ingredients like the rose hip, it gives your beard like a fresh fragrance as well. And it actually smells really good. It's not something I thought I needed, but like, you got the mustache right there. It's right beneath the nose, but like walking around all day and just like constantly smelling like this fresh scent. It's a fringe benefit.
Gotta be nice.
So on top of this, the softness, the smoothness, you got a fresh scent that goes along with it. I mean, it's not something I see myself stopping using anytime soon. We know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and the feel in beard to the other products you've used. We promise you will see and feel the difference. So remember to use the code LOCKEDON to get 20% off that at primaloriginoils.com. Use the code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off. All right, Scotty, let's finish talking about the World Junior Championship being canceled and our immense, consistent disappointment in the state of December. It's crazy. We had the season had lows for sure, but for the most part, this was a huge step forward for the Red Wings, and we have been riding that high all season long. Like even through the pause right now, their second wild card. Well, now some teams have started playing again, so maybe not anymore. To be honest, I haven't checked the standings since the Red Wings stopped playing, so I know the pause happened, they were second in the wild card, but maybe not now. So as it goes, like it's crazy now. We've been so down in the dumps with all this postponements and all the World Juniors cancellations happening. It's such a crazy turn of events. But like now this is the big news today. And the big news continues to be COVID-19. And it's almost a shame that we have to keep talking about it, but it's so prevalent in our everyday life. And it's affecting the things that we love the most, which is, of course, hockey. And the criticisms keep coming out more and more. And so earlier I mentioned what Team Finland's head coach had said, but Team Slovakia's coach came out and said too, Ivan Fennis, things weren't working since day one. The bubble wasn't really a bubble. We moved between rooms, canteen and arena, but there have been other guests in the hotel since we arrived. And that goes back and reiterates what the Finnish head coach said, what Alan Walsh had said, what Pronman had said, that there was no true isolation. And just and it goes back to my point, you can't cancel a tournament after one positive test, but then do no effort into isolating and protecting the players in all seriousness. Like you're at that point, you're assuming you're going to have to cancel a tournament.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of that in hockey. There's been a lot of assuming, whether it's assuming positive things are going to happen or just assuming negative things are going to happen and not actually changing anything. We're just going like, all right, well, buckle up. Here we go. I mean, that's been happening for the last month. And this is very much no different. The writing was on the wall. We literally talked about it. We were like, yeah, for sure, dude. Only 2 cases. That's always happened. Like we all been living in the same like effing world for the last 2 years. Like what? This should be a shock to anybody. And then especially the last month, we had 500,000 cases yesterday. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Like, obviously this was going to happen. Obviously your protocols sucked.
And what's
I'm
crazy
just so tired of all of this.
If it's obvious to us, and obviously it's obvious in hindsight now that we have been introduced to We didn't know the situation in Red Deer with the hotels until all this stuff started coming out. But it's obvious to us in hindsight, and you have to say hindsight because, we're not mega minds that can create COVID protocol. We're not trying to say that we are. But if it's obvious to us in hindsight that these, like, of course this would happen if you set it up this way. They had to know in advance. They don't isolate. Like, this isn't something they just didn't take it seriously and they just wished for the best, or they just assumed it was going to hit the, crap was going to hit the fan. And like, come on, like, give me a break. It's just, and again, I go back to yesterday, like we feel so defeated at this point, but this is just how it is. Like they have these real strict protocols and then they do nothing to and it applies to the NHL too. They have these real strict protocols, but then they'll do nothing to actually adhere to them until it's too late and people are testing positive. It's just, this is the vicious cycle continues. The merry-go-round, as you put it yesterday. And here we go again. World Juniors is canceled. All these kids, best shot at having fun. And again, the virus is going to be the virus, and it's going to spread. It may have been inevitable in the end, but it could have been helped, and the tournament could have been possible if it had been taken more seriously, by management of IIHF.
Absolutely.
Like, these kids wouldn't have had the greatest moments of their career robbed from them if it was taken seriously from the get-go.
Absolutely.
It's the most infuriating thing, and I feel gutted for these kids. Again, I go back to what I said in the first segment. Like, this is the best moment of many of their careers, and now it is robbed from them. And again, the pandemic is unpredictable, but it could have been mitigated to some extent. This didn't have to happen. There's no guarantee it was going to happen if you would have taken it more seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Like, you feel horrible for these kids. You feel horrible for a lot of them. I mean, there's some that will go on and have NHL careers. There's some that will go on and get drafted and et cetera. But there's a hell of a lot of players on there that this is like their moment. This is like it. They play for this. This is the end of the road. You know what I mean? As far as like national, spotlight and coverage, like this is their pinnacle. And to think that there's even a possibility that could have been avoided is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. And there's no real good way to like end this conversation. It's just a real sad thing that happened. And there's nothing we can do about it now. Where everyone is frustrated. I think everyone deserves to be frustrated, but it's just, this is the state of hockey right now. Not just hockey, it's the state of the country. It's the state of the world. I mean, it's an ongoing thing that keeps on happening. But, as we continue to deal with this, we do still try and focus on positives, and a positive being this year, in my eyes, is the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Jeff Blaschel. And we did midseason grades last week, and it occurred to me today that we left Jeff Blaschel. We left Jeff Blashill off those midseason grades, and he's someone who's very deserving of a grade as well. And this idea came to me, or the realization came to me rather, when I actually met Jeff Blashill today or Wednesday night at work. He came in to return some hockey apparel. He totally admitted to my face, "Oh, this is the first time I've actually ever been in the store." And I was trying the entire time, Scotty, to not freak out about the fact that Jeff Blashill was in the store and I was meeting Jeff Blashill. I was like, "Ryan, you're a professional. Stay professional. You got this.
This is your job.
Act cool.
Just chill."
And at one point, Scotty, the thought did cross my mind. Should I ask him to come on the podcast?
I mean, you probably should have.
No, I don't think the setting was appropriate. It was my first time meeting him. I was at work, and I have to represent my job. So I chickened out. I feel like that's a third time meeting him type of thing. So, Jeff, we know each other for quite a while now.
Yeah. gonna be honest with you. Should come on the show.
I'm the host. I'm one of the hosts of Locked On Red Wings, my favorite podcast. Listen to you guys all. I make my roster decisions based on what you guys say.
Yeah, you guys run the team.
But like, in all honesty, genuinely nice guy. Like made small talk. We talked about World Juniors being canceled. I asked him how he was doing. He said he was good. He said he had very little symptoms to none at all. Like, just made pleasant small talk. He was constantly apologetic about like disturbing us when we were getting ready for the Pistons game. And it's like, nah, dude, it's like, you're making my day right now. Like, you're good. I didn't say that to him, but internally I was like, stay calm, Brian. Don't fangirl. But like, internally I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is really cool. And like, guys, I'm a Red Wings fan. So of course, that would be exciting to me. And that's what sparked my mind. Like, oh my God, like, dude, we didn't grade Jeff Blashill. Like, he just got an extension and the team's in a wild card spot. We haven't talked at all about his performance so far and whether or not we think he's doing a good job. And that is something that we are going to do after I talk to you guys about BetOnline.ag. BetOnline has you covered this holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the college bowl season and pro football playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to their website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKDOWN to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. So don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so now we're going to talk about my best friend, Jeff Blaschel, and why he is a good hockey coach after all the hate. So,
he definitely got a lot of it. I mean, there was for the last, honestly, I feel like I didn't see it as much last year. It was really 2 years ago when everybody was like, get this dude the hell off my hockey team. That was the big one. But I mean, like Nolan and I had this conversation too in the off season. And Nolan was all aboard the train of, extending him and like Blashill's going to be here when the team's good again, etc. And my counterpoint to that was while I don't think it's impossible, very few times in any sport, in the history of any sport, have we seen a manager or a coach or whatever that was the head of the team before a rebuild started, throughout the entirety of the rebuild, and bringing the team back up to relevance, and still their coach or manager or whatever when the team like wins a championship or something.
Yeah.
Like that has almost like the amount of times that has happened across all four sports you can count on like one hand. Like, that is a incredibly small list of names. So while I don't think it's impossible, and it wasn't even really like a Jeff Blaschel like personal thing, it was
just
like
statistical.
Statistically, that seems really impossible.
And we've seen it with the Lions, or not the Lions. We haven't seen it with the Lions.
I was
yet.
like, what?
The Tigers, the other big cat, is they had Ron Gardenhire through all the bad years after Brad Ausmus just tanked the organization, essentially.
Right.
They had Ron Gardenhire through the bad years, and he was he's a good players coach. I think the players respected him, but he wasn't the guy to take it to the next level. They were ready to take a step forward after Gardenhire's sudden retirement. They get, AJ Hinch, who gave them a massive step forward this past season. And we've seen it with the Pistons. Ideally, the idea was that you bring Dwayne Casey in to take the team to the next level. Obviously, they're still doing that as they go through the rebuild here. But the idea is that you bring a coach in to get you through the rebuild years, and then as the team's ready to compete, you get a new head coach. And I am completely willing to call myself out. That I pride myself on the fact that I can own up to when I was wrong. And I think I was wrong on Dylan Larkin not being a top line center. I think I was wrong on Jeff Blaschel not being a head coach and a good head coach, and he needed to be fired. I think I was skewed based on the results we were getting, and I wasn't taking in the big picture as to where the team was at. It was last season, after talking to Nolan and even talking to you, that it began to occur to me like, oh, like, yeah, of course he would look bad when the team is awful. I mean, he was handed, after Mike Babcock left, he was handed what?
A bad team.
He was handed an awful team, an aging core that was getting worse.
I mean, this is not an exaggeration. And I know that I exaggerate sometimes for dramatic effect, and people give me a lot of heat for it. This is not an exaggeration whatsoever. That 1920 Red Wings team is truly one of the worst hockey teams I have ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was like multiple 6-goal blowouts.
Horrid.
Yeah.
I mean, what? We had like half of the second lowest point total in the entire NHL.
It was almost historically bad. It was historically bad.
Thankfully. Not thankfully. Jeez, that's horrible.
Well, we didn't get the number 1 overall pick. We got
but the season got the season ended up getting obviously postponed.
Yeah.
Because the COVID hit at the end of that season. But yeah, if that was a true 82, man, that would have been literally one of the worst seasons in the history of hockey.
Yeah, and then so he's handed an aging core. They make the playoffs, I think, his first season, but they squeak in. But it was a slow downhill. They had finally embraced the rebuild, and I'm all but this. He's a horrible head coach. Fire him. And in hindsight, I'm like, how stupid was I? They're embracing a full rebuild. Of course they were going to be bad. Nothing he could do would make that team, be more successful than they were. And in the last 2 years, it's been full on tank mode. And Gerard Gallant became available, and I was like, get on the Gerard Gallant. He's the coach of the future. And they stuck to their guns, and it became apparent that the players in the locker room really respected Jeff Blashill. And that's not everything. Jim Caldwell was an amazing players coach, but couldn't play call to save his life. Horrible clock management. But it does go a long way. Having the players' respect goes a long way. And I think, he has obviously experienced the AHL, won a Calder Cup with the Griffins as a head coach, and he's only gotten better as head coach of the Detroit Red Wings in the last few years. Yzerman stuck with his guns, kept them around. And now we're looking at Jeff Blaschel in a year where he's got the 2 rookies. He argued with Steve Yzerman last year he wanted Moritz Seider on the roster last year. And Steve Yzerman said, no, we need a tank. Smart on Yzerman, by the way. But I understand Blashill's reasoning because Blashill wants to win. That's his job as head coach, is to win hockey games. He gets those 2 rookies now on this hockey team. They trade for Nedeljkovic. He's finally handed a roster with some talent. Calder Trophy talent. But again, this team is not deep still. But he has some strong talent on the team with Larkin, Bertuzzi, Raymond, Seider, and Nedeljkovic. That's 6 players, guys. And yet he has a team in the second wild card competing 30 games into the season, almost halfway through. I mean, we are seeing what Jeff Blashill is capable of, because I don't think good head coaches get enough credit. I think you hear a lot about the bad head coaches when they're doing poorly, like umpires. Referees, you only see them when they're bad. It's the same thing with coaches. Jeff Blashill's done a phenomenal job with the roster that he's been given through the first 30 games. You also notice that, hey guys, he's been historically given crap for his line juggling. You notice he's been doing a lot less of that this season. Well, it's because he has actual talent that can form chemistry together. He still does it on the lower lines, but that top line's been solid. It has been Bertuzzi, Raymond, and Larkin. That top line has been Kaiser and Seider. No matter what you want to think about it, it's been Kaiser, Seider, Letty, Hronik. It's been significantly less line jumbling because he has actual talent to work with now. And it's paying off. This is what he's capable of when he's been given a roster that can compete. And I completely am on board with giving Jeff Blashill for the second year of his contract. And if the team takes another step forward next year, give him another contract because he is showing what he is capable of.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you nailed a lot of points there. That was a nice little. I don't even know. I can't think of
rant?
Even the word I'm trying. No, because it wasn't a rant. Whatever. Regardless, it was
Monologue?
Nice. Yeah, sure. I think they were just so bad And I don't blame people. You and I were like, I absolutely crapped on Blashill. Like the team was horrible. I'm not sure how I
Oh
was.
yeah, I did too.
I'm not sure how I was supposed to not. I mean, like seriously was one of the worst hockey teams I've ever seen in my life. And I think that calling out as a fan the head coach of that product was totally fair and within reason. You saw a small step in the right direction last year. It was small, but you saw it, and you knew it, and you realized it. And this year, you are seeing a monumental leap in the right direction. And for as much heat as he got when the team was horrible, he deserves and he is owed us keeping the same energy we had back then now that we are taking these big leaps forward.
Absolutely.
And in a positive way, obviously. And if he's the guy when this team wants to hoist the Stanley Cup over their heads, that's still to be seen. There's still, I think there's probably still a couple of years in between now and then. But the fact of the matter is, on as it stands right now, he deserves an insurmountable amount of credit, and deserves all the positive energy that he has not been given for the last 3 years.
Positive vibes only, boys. Positive vibes only. No, and I guess the final thing I'll say too is, he hasn't been afraid of giving the rookies big minutes. Like a lot of people will, and understandably so, but will kind of ease the rookies into big minutes because they don't want to overtax them. But he sees the impact that they're having on the ice. And he's like, okay, well, you guys are clearly, capable talent-wise of hoisting this much responsibility. I'm going to give you that responsibility and see how you excel. And he put Seider on the top line defensively. I'm sure he's had advisement from his assistant coaches. Then he put Raymond on the top line immediately. And he, Nedeljkovic has earned that starter role. And he's gone back to Nedeljkovic after bad games. He hasn't gotten shaken from his faith. Like, it is so obvious and clear why the players seem to like him, especially after meeting him personally. Siren that alarm or whatever, sound the alarm, because I mean, even in the store and in my interaction with him, like, he came off as a very down to earth, humble guy. And I think that type of modesty people respond to well. And I 100% believe he knows how to get stern as a head coach too. I'm sure, he's not afraid to backskate him either, but I think the fact that he's not a John Tortorella hard ass 24/7, players respond to and respect.
Yeah, any of the press conferences or anything when they talk to Larkin, it seems pretty obvious that he has control, a positive control on that locker room. And like Tanguay deserves some credit too. Like the power, the special teams have certainly looked unbelievably better than they were the last couple of seasons. But I think it starts with Jaff.
Jaff. What's the grade you would give him so far to the first?
A-.
Hey, that's so solid. I was going to go A-, B+. It's been good. I have very minimal complaints, and I like the direction the team's headed. I like the directions the team's headed underneath his helm. So, A-.
Yeah. I mean, the team is wildly overperforming their expectations, and I think a lot of it has to do with, as we just talked about. I mean, nothing else to add. It has a lot to do with Jaff.
All right, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, and with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. They're your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. It's free and available on all platforms, just like we are, including YouTube. So check it out. If you want to check out my suite, by the way, my Hockey Fights Cancer team-issued hat, because the Authentics director got a box full of hats. And he was like, hey, you want a Hockey Fights Cancer hat? Team issued. They didn't wear them. I was like, heck yeah, I'll give you one. Pretty sick. Purple and lavender. Check it out on YouTube. Locked On Red Wings YouTube. Subscribe. I won't take no for an answer. I'm going to bring it up every day. Any final thoughts, Scotty?
Almost time.
We're almost there.
The boys are coming. Go blue, baby.
They're
coming.
We're getting close.
They're coming. SEC stinks this bowl season.
They coming. Do. They're like, what, 0-3?
0-4 now.
0-4. We're about to be 0-5.
Damn right. Actually, I think South Carolina plays before us. So
0-6.
Hopefully.
Let's go. Hopefully. Same time. Guys, we might actually. Last time I said this, it didn't happen.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Game preview?
You jinxed it. It's not happening now. Game's not happening.
It's not happening. Game preview tomorrow?
Question mark?
Washington Capitals on Friday? Let's go. Same time. Same place. It's your team. Every day.
Every day.